A city's attempt to protect residents from wild animals ended up sending one of them to the hospital. Sora News 24 reports that residents of Fuji City in Japan reported seeing a monkey that had wandered into the area. In response, City Hall dispatched 3 municipal employees and 1 contracted specialist armed with tranquilizer rifles to subdue the animal. The 4 monkey hunters arrived at the location and summoned the woman who had seen the monkey so that she could supply them with more information. It seems that her report was cut short, though, because while she was still at the scene, she was shot by a tranquilizer dart, causing her to lose consciousness. And no, the monkey hadn't managed to grab a weapon of its own accord and launch a counteroffensive. The dart, which lodged itself in the woman's left arm, came from one of the human hunter's rifles. City officials say that while the woman was at the scene, the hunters were taping the barrels of their rifles to prevent air leakage, and in the process, one of them inadvertently pulled on the trigger of his weapon, discharging it. The woman was taken to the hospital, where she regained consciousness roughly an hour later, but it wasn't until another hour after that that she was lucid enough to properly communicate. Thankfully, she suffered no injuries and was discharged that same day. As for the monkey, he remains at large, and hopefully any further teams sent to capture it will be made up of different team members.
White shirts and red sauces can be a destructive combination. But as part of a new promotion, Heinz, a known purveyor of a white shirt-destroying condiment, has decided to not only embrace its ability to blemish shirts, but to flat-out flaunt it. They've teamed up with a vintage clothing brand to release purposefully ketchup-stained shirts. Food and Wine reports that the Ketchup King has partnered with the thrift store brand ThredUp, based in Oakland, California, to create the Heinz Vintage Drip Collection. Billed as a first-of-its-kind fashion line, it features 157 second-hand streetwear and designer pieces, each with a unique Heinz ketchup stain sold exclusively through ThredUp's website. Items of clothing from such brands as Reebok, Nike, Adidas, and Tommy Hilfiger were made available on the site, each with a Heinz ketchup stain prominently displayed. A Heinz representative confirmed the stains are actual Heinz ketchup, meaning they will likely wash away over time. Said Alyssa Cicero, Heinz's brand manager, "We saw the opportunity to view the stain we've been leaving on clothes as another iconic brand symbol and change the narrative." Meanwhile, ThredUp suggests now is a perfect time for brands to get on board with secondhand clothing, stating that over half of Gen Z and millennial shoppers say they will look for an item used before buying it new, and that the secondhand apparel market is expected to grow 3 times faster than the clothing market overall by 2026. The slogan on the website reads, "It's not a stain, it's a statement." I don't know, I just see a ketchup stain.
I guess this time, if he tells his boss that a goat ate his paperwork, he'll have the video to prove it. WPDE-TV News reports that an Alabama deputy was delivering some legal papers when his patrol car was overrun by a pair of goats. Deputy Casey Thrower with the Madison County Sheriff's Office left his vehicle door open because he's had to get away from attacking dogs in the past. But the easy access proved too tempting for the goats to pass up. One goat jumped into the squad car uninvited and started munching down on some of his paperwork. The second goat thought it would be fun to jump on top of the patrol car and perch itself on the light bar. According to the Madison County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, the animals clambered around inside the vehicle while munching on some paperwork. But the deputy was able to move both goats away eventually. The Sheriff's Office has had some fun with the story on their Facebook page, saying they got a huge kick out of it and hope it brought a smile to people's faces. They added that Deputy Thrower has been serving the citizens of Madison County for about 40 years and is considered one of their, wait for it, goat deputies.
This is one decision that I'm glad we're not a part of. The Metro reports that controversial plans to change the possibly racist name of a 350-year-old pub will be decided by the Scottish government. Brewing giant Green King previously announced that it would rename the Black Bitch, a popular 17th-century pub in the Scottish town of Linlithgow, which carries the name of a legendary black greyhound with a statue in the town. The historic venue was to be rebranded as the Willow Tree following a heated public consultation. But the plan sparked a chorus of condemnation across the local community. More than 500 objections were submitted from campaigners, blasting the owners for trying to be woke. A petition to stop the move also garnered more than 11,000 names, an impressive feat considering that Linlithgow itself has under 13,000 residents. According to the West Lothian History and Amenity Society, the term Black Bitch has been associated with the town for more than 700 years. It is a term of affection with no negative connotations, the society said. They added the term describes a female canine, rightly called a bitch, which is black in color. Nothing offensive, no misogyny involved. Green King decided to turn to the government in a bid to have their plans rubber-stamped after local council deferred the planning decision. The brewers claim councillors hope to encourage heritage bosses to include the pub name in a protected listing to avoid the name change.
This one sounds like a familiar movie plot. The Telegraph reports that a guilt-ridden soccer player organized a rematch between two England primary schools 50 years after he scored a dubious goal to help clear his conscience. 60-year-old Graham Jones, a former Royal Navy training instructor, admitted shoving a goalkeeper with his hands on the ball 5 yards over the goal line to earn a controversial draw in a match played in September 1972. Mr. Jones came up with the idea for the rematch during the first lockdown in 2020, after finding his old team portrait. Mr. Jones said he was determined to right a wrong when he learned of the results' lasting impact on his aggrieved local rivals, and spent 18 months assembling the same lineup from the two primary school teams who participated in the original game. Mr. Jones's former PE teacher, Alan Jones, who had awarded his team their contentious equalizer and is now in his 80s, was given the honor of observing the coin toss before officiating the match for the first 5 minutes. The teams even recreated an old squad photo that had appeared in a local paper when they were 10 years old, and after the 60-minute match, Mr. Jones's rivals finally settled the score with a 6-2 victory. Said Mr. Jones after the match, "My demons have been put to bed, and my conscience is clear now, and we would have still lost regardless. Good thing the game was soccer. This story could have gone in a very different direction if they'd all gotten together after 50 years to play football."
If you want to see all our videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, click the subscribe button below. I mean, hey, my cat's gotta eat.